Hi and welcome to today's episode. We are matchy today. Didn't know that would match so well on camera, just looking in the screen here. But yeah, welcome to this episode. Today's episode where we turn the stock bike, the stock S1000 from 2022 behind me into a proper track bike. We're gonna tackle more brakes. In the previous episode, we already changed the brake pads to awesome Alpha Racing pads and added the carbon fiber air scoops to get more cooling into the calipers. But one major component is still missing: the master cylinder. And for today's episode, we got a nice Brembo box and we're gonna do some unboxing and see what's inside there. Before we go there, why change the master cylinder? The master cylinder is probably the biggest bang for your buck after the brake pads to get better brake feeling and consistency. On the racetrack, if you feel the brakes more what they do and you have more consistency, meaning every lap, no matter what the temperature, they will do and perform exactly the same way as before, you can build confidence. If you have something spongy and the brakes fade, it's really hard to be a demon on the brakes. So in this episode, we're just going to focus on draining the brake fluid, removing the old master cylinder, which is not updated since the first S1000 came out, and then we're gonna put on the new Brembo master cylinder and refill it and bleed it. All right, let's have a look on what we got. Ta-da! Here is the beauty. This is a forged aluminum XR0 and many other numbers master cylinder from Brembo. This is a race-only use master cylinder. Of course, it's still brakes, but it's not designed to be used on the streets. Now, why did I choose this one? This one is the same master cylinder that was put onto the HP4 race, and is also like the entry level of proper racing gear from Brembo. There are a lot of other master cylinders, including like the GP ones, where you can spend thousands of dollars for just a master cylinder. This one is relatively affordable, but the first really race grade master cylinder that Brembo makes. So the XR0. If you have questions about it, ask in the comments and I'll provide that. Speaking of the HP4 race, I also got this one. This is a cool little thing that I'm curious about. It is a quick bleed edition, which was also used on the HP4 race. HP4 race came with a blue cap. This has a red aluminum cap. The idea is you remove the bleeding screw right here, put this guy in, and then bleeding will be easier. How much easier? We're going to see that in the video and see how it's working. Hopefully it works out well, but we're going to install this later, torque it down, and then fill the reservoir once everything is installed. Alrighty, for this we need a rubber hose. This comes like, for example, the quick bleeder set or brake bleeding set from Revzilla. I use just like a water bottle. This is not what it looks like. This is brake fluid from previous times. So I'm gonna use this, some duct tape to secure the hose to the bottle, put the other one on the bleeding nipple, and then you need a 8mm wrench to open the bleeder valve, and then we can get it empty. So this part is really straightforward. If you happen to push it over, it doesn't come all out right away. And then usually I also secure the bottle itself with the bike, so there's a very little chance for it falling over. All right, next step, we just remove this nipple here. It's just rubber, just pull the bleeder nipple off. Attach the bleeder hose, make sure it's nice and over as far as you can push it, and then here you can see the bleeder screw. So you use your 8mm and then you open it. Also, doesn't hurt to wear some gloves because this stuff is pretty nasty on the skin. So if you get on the skin, not a big problem, but get it off soon, so it doesn't aggravate your skin. All right, opening this guy, and now you can use the brake. We're also gonna open the reservoir, but just like to demonstrate, if you push it, we have brake fluid coming out. And also gravity will do it once we open it on top, so let's open the top. So use your little Phillips. There's a screw here on the side of the reservoir. So you take that out and there's a little safety clip. And then we're gonna take off the cap. So you see the clip was here, and then this on top you can just screw it open. And then there's like a little rubber seal, the gasket. And so if we just gently lift it a little bit so that air can come in, then the system will start draining. And you can of course accelerate it by pumping. So you can see it coming out. So I'm just going to empty it and then come back to you when the system's dry. So reservoir is empty. I'm just going to put the cap on again, and then we start demounting it, removing it from the bike. Alright, get it 30 torques, and I have to get behind here to remove the screw. Oh, that's the wrong direction. That is holding the reservoir. Alright, this comes off so, and I'm going to leave it here connected with the rubber hose so we have less of a mess. When we go now from the bottom side, we have to take off the banyo. And it's good to have some racks around in case you have some spillage. You can just remove these two guys, same size. Ooh, that's very loose. Alright, and now it is only held by the brake line itself. So I'm going to reposition the camera and then show you how we remove the brake line and how to install the new master cylinder. Okie doke, so you're getting a little POV here. Not that kind of POV. Alright, this is a Torx 40, and then you go on the bottom from the master cylinder. You could of course also loosen this up before you remove this. For tightening, you definitely want to put the master cylinder on first, because you will not be able to tighten this properly if you hold it in your hand. But for loosening, it's maybe not the best way how I do it, but we will get the job done. Now this is pretty tight. Alright, got it loose. Oh, now they get some rags because there's gonna stuff come out. Oh, there we go, making some mess. Alright, clean up the mess a little bit. You see there are two crush washers. So they are out of pretty soft copper, probably maybe some other metals in, and you have to replace them. So don't reuse them, definitely get new ones, so you get a proper tight seal. So they get tossed away and you use new ones to retighten it. But for now, I'm gonna put right here the master cylinder, and then we're gonna torque this puppy down and then refill it with brake fluid. So these are universal parts, so right now don't worry that the reservoir is in a weird angle. Once everything is mounted, you can bend this metal to have a good angle. Important is that you have these clips on here, here and here, so everything is air and water tight. So we're gonna remove the bottom one. This is like a 5, and then so usually you just knock down the bottom, and then the top you can torque down to get right. Alright, just getting this one over here, making sure this is connected. Don't worry about the positioning. Right now we'll just like move it so you have easy access. And get this one on the bottom one. Snug them down, and then once you have it roughly in position, we can attach the banyo bolt. So yeah, just gonna snug it down with my fingers so it doesn't move around. And then now we have like this flexibility, we can like lift it up and get better access. Alright, this is just the dust cover cup, so we're gonna remove that, gonna change the washers and then get this one in. It's nice that it's like the same position essentially, so I think mounting it should be not too hard. Seems like we're gonna fit it in there. So with that, I'm gonna need both hands, but yeah, fit it in there with new washers and then tighten it down. I'll be back once that's done. All right. Luckily, this one fits. It's nice that BMW uses Brembo sized banyo bolts and brake system. so it just fits into the Brembo one right away. With other bikes you need to change all the brake lines. That's a huge pain, but yeah, so I'm just gonna tighten it down and then refill her with some racing braking fluid. So torqued it down to 20 Newton meters. I will put in a link in the description below a link to Alpha Racing torque guide, so you have like most of the torque numbers in one PDF, just Hondas. It's really cool. So 20 Newton meters for this puppy. And then one thing that's important is you have to keep a gap here, right? Make sure that none of the hoses are hitting the forks, right? That could cause friction. Move the steering around and make sure everything clears, so we have some good room here. And of course that the braking line has no kink or any other damage in it. So it's your main brake, so definitely double triple check it that everything is okay. Alright, and before we fill it up, we removed the stock bleeding valve. So it looks like we're just going to take it off, and we're going to put this bad boy in there and then torque it down. Alright, it goes in there, and we're going to torque it to 9 Newton meter, 10 is the max, so we're going to leave a little bit of room. Alright, cap is on, torque down. Let's get this back on and then let's start filling. Welcome back. Had to get a new battery the next day. We zip tied the front brake to the throttle. This is not a full while bleeding video, so there's other good stuff on the internet, but essentially you put pressure on it overnight so that some of the air bubbles might come out. And also here we have the super cool Stahlbus quick bleed valve, and I was doing some bleeding yesterday. You can see here's the pipe attached, and there's like some air bubbles in there all the way here. So there is a little metal ball in it and it's spring loaded. So when you have a normal valve, you just open it and the fluid comes out. This one is spring loaded and it needs some pressure actually to come out, and if you have air passing through it, it makes this sound. Maybe I can capture that on video now, but it's really cool because you actually notice when air is coming out. It definitely made the bleeding process a lot quicker because no air comes back into the valve. And yeah, then it comes with a cool little anodized cap and whatever color you want. So definitely a cool investment, makes bleeding of the brakes a lot easier because quite frankly it can be quite painful. So we're gonna leave this one on, just like do a quick last breathe to see if any more air bubbles come out. Then retighten all the screws. So almost done here, and then we can take it for a test ride. Next up is the break-in service. And for that we also have some special parts. The Olin's fork arrived. It's going to be an FKR fork, I think was the name. But in the next episode you will see more about that. So for now the brakes are completed, so we still have ABS in, but we have this awesome billet aluminum XR0. We have the Alpha Racing brake pads and the scoops in there. So definitely quite some changes. And then of course the brake fluid, which is the Motul 600, which just has a higher boiling point. The downside of the racing fluid, however, is it tracks water easier, so you have to change the fluid more often. And also once the package is opened, you essentially have to use it up because it really attracts moisture very quickly. And once you get moisture into the brake system, right, at high temperatures on the track, it boils and water evaporates, so that means it turns into essentially air or a gas, and that is compressible, right? So water boils and then you have no compression or braking power anymore. So that's not good. Anyway, some pros and cons of the brake fluid there. Let me finish up the brake bleed and then we're good for today. And so if you're questioning, well, like, how do you set it up? Like, what is the best setting? It just depends, right? Like, ride it, put your hands here, you want to have a straight line with your wrist. And also keep in mind, if you're low in the tuck and when you pop up for braking, your body will be in a different position. So it will take some dialing in and you have to adjust it to your liking. Gonna knock the bottom one down first, and then this top one. Wonderful. All right, brakes are done. So yeah, we have the bleeding completed with a quick bleeder. The new XR0 is awesome, is on there, and I'm very, very, very curious to give this bad boy a test ride. So I'm gonna put it on the screen and then go for a test ride. So see you in the next one. Bye bye.